Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Dragon Tiger Gate, a Hong Kong action flick from 2006 that stars Donnie Yen, Tse and Shawn Yue. It's based on a comic book, actually, and it was directed by Wilson Yip, the man who gave us the Ip Man films, Killzone, Bullets Over Summer, and plenty of others. So Dragon Tiger Gate is an academy that was established by some powerful martial artists, and it aims to train students in martial arts in order to uphold justice and combat the threat of the Triad. And it was also a haven for children who had been orphaned by the Triad. So you have this heretic cult and drug trafficking organization led by their dictating mighty cult leader Shibumi. He's the bad guy. And basically, the story begins with two sons of Fu Hu Wong, one of the founders of the academy. And these sons were separated when they were younger, but now they must reunite in adulthood and fight the bad guys, destroy the evil. That's your basic plot. Now, I'm going to warn you, right off the bat, Dragon Tiger Gate is very cheesy. It's a cheesy flick. It's basically like an enhanced martial arts movie that uses wires and CGI effects. So our protagonists have certain superpowers, or at the very least superhuman abilities, and that's where the wire work and computer generated effects kind of come into play. It's not as crazy as Zoo Warriors or something. This is like an urban set action flick, but there's stuff that they do that a normal person in real life couldn't do. The CGI effects and the wires allow the filmmakers to show these abilities in action. Now, I do criticize bad effects in action movies quite often, actually. However, I do believe that Dragon Tiger Gate is one of those situations where the special effects are applied in fun ways. Now, one reason for this is that the fights themselves are properly choreographed, and they do showcase the actors' talents well enough. You have the opening restaurant fight involving Tse and Donnie Yen. It's an entertaining scene, Of course, there are some unrealistic aspects in terms of physics-defying jumps, bodies getting, launched across the room from a simple sidekick, stuff like that. But there are some intricate strikes and even some satisfying destruction of furniture and interior design, which is always fun. Now, all three of our main characters, played by the actors that I mentioned earlier, are introduced very early on, and Shawn Yue's character joins the fight at a Japanese restaurant fight that occurs a few minutes after the first fight. So this, second restaurant fight always makes me laugh. This is, one of the funnier moments in the movie. It's just so ridiculous. Donnie's doing crazy backflips in the hallways. Shawn just starts beating the crap out of dudes with his nunchaku because they interrupt his dinner. He doesn't even know why people are fighting. He just, joins in. It's one of those scenes where you just sit back with a beer and some popcorn and enjoy it. So the opening 20 minutes of Dragon Tiger Gate are, straight fire if you like cheesy action. And if they kept that pace the whole film, this would have been a newer classic of popcorn entertainment. Unfortunately, the film does slow down a bit, and we get about 30 minutes of plot progression right in the middle, which is not all that impressive. More on that later. But the action returns later with a flashy one versus many battle underneath the lights at a baseball ground, and then Yunhua, who has a supporting role, gets a pretty good scuffle with the main villain, and then we get the big finale, which has multiple phases, involves all the lead characters. The final one-on-one fight, I shouldn't even have to tell you who's involved, is so lopsided. It's one of the most lopsided final fights to an action movie I've ever seen. It's not even close. It's just total domination by one character over the other, but it's fun to watch. So, I do think the action does deliver in this. I like it. And there's enough of it, to make you feel satisfied. So what about the story? Plot progression is clunky, kind of abrupt. Some of the fights just seem like they kind of happen, even though there are technically reasons why they happen. But the dramatic elements are thin, as are the characters. Dialogue is also pretty weakly written. There's a lack of multidimensionality here. Runtime is only 93 minutes long, But like I said, there's that half-hour gap in the middle. I would have preferred one more fight if they chucked it in the middle of that gap in time between the fights. So the film, I guess you could say, does drag a little bit in the middle, but the pacing is good overall, I think. But with that said, some of the aesthetics, as I like to say, help to keep things entertaining despite the lackluster drama. You got the hairstyles, and you got to mention the hair. They embody the essence of like rock star cheesiness. You know, Donnie's hair, he's like half the hair is over his face. He's got these weird mannerisms that he does at times. People need to remember, back in the day, some of us did not quite appreciate Donnie's acting chops. Like nowadays, he's considered to be a good actor, and I think his acting has improved over time. But sometimes back in the day, he would tend to chew the scenery a bit too much and overact in places. And I think Dragon Tiger Gate is one of his best bad performances in a movie. He's just completely lacking in any nuance, but his screen presence is great, and it's just funny just watching him do his thing in this. It really is. And then we get, as an added bonus, the cinematography and comic book set designs are actually kind of cool in this. The film is colorful, nice to look at. You get some yellows, oranges, and reds splashed in. The villain's lair is pretty cool, and the interior designs are interesting. So I would say, to sum it up, Dragon Tiger Gate, it's fun to watch, and I do watch it on a fairly regular basis. But you need to be in kind of a forgiving mood. This isn't like an all-time great action classic in terms of like quality. But if you want to see Donnie and Nick and Shawn just, throw their hair back and like beat the crap out of a bunch of dudes, you could do far worse, I think. I like it. Currently streaming on Tubi and Amazon. And as always, I'll see you next time.